Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a closer look, putting the torch, you might say, to the usual boundaries of art.
Yeah.
We're getting into the career of Ryno, most people know him as Ryno, and exploring this whole movement he kind of started, the Ducky Revolution.
Yeah.
So our mission for you today, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to analyze how this one artist, pretty much self-taught, took this really unassuming, almost, funny motif,
Yeah.
simple rubber ducky,
Right.
and used it as like the core idea to not just get into, but totally shake up the world of functional glass art.
Yeah.
We're basically following the journey of a kid's bath toy from, a workshop bench all the way to a museum display.
It really is the ultimate artistic paradox when you think about it, isn't it? You've got lamp working, this intense fire-based craft needing incredible precision, and it's centered around something so inherently playful, disposable even, nostalgic. What's really fascinating, though, is how Ryno leveraged that contrast. He gained institutional respect because of the weight, the gravity he packed into that lighthearted symbol. He really did take the everyday and make it, well, magnificent.
And that transformation, it started with a lot of hard work, just sheer grind. Ryno's origins, they show an artist who just climbed up through relentless, self-driven discipline.
That's exactly right. Ryno Keefe, he first picked up the torch back in San Diego around 2005. And back then, borosilicate glass, that's the hard glass they use, it's really unforgiving, learning resources, pretty scarce. He was entirely self-taught, no formal apprenticeships, no mentors really showing him the ropes through those early, inevitable failures. He often says he leveled up through just pure, relentless repetition, a constant grind in those early years.
Could you maybe unpack that a bit?
Yeah.
What does self-taught actually mean in glass? It seems so technically demanding.
Well, it means failing. A lot. Especially with temperature control, molten glass, getting perfect symmetry, consistency. It's brutally hard. A self-taught artist, they have to figure out techniques like how to heat evenly or manage the viscosity through hundreds, maybe thousands of mistakes. So for Ryno, those first few years weren't really about making art yet. It was about mastering fundamentals, like applying color rods without streaks or getting a perfectly round shape, which, it's pretty crucial if you're making a duck head. That focus on the basic form, that really set him apart early on.
Okay, and the context back then is important too. Mid-2000s when Ryno was starting to get noticed. Functional glass. It was definitely not seen as high art.
Oh, absolutely not. It was strictly seen as counterculture. Dismissed, really. There was zero high art recognition. It was viewed through this very narrow utilitarian lens, often tangled up with, frankly, negative stereotypes. And that dismissal, it created a huge hurdle. Ryno wasn't just trying to perfect his technique, he was fighting to get the entire medium taken seriously, essentially arguing that the skill involved was just as valid as any traditional sculpture.
And the symbol he chose for that fight was just completely disarming. The rubber ducky. Instantly recognizable, right? Bright yellow, orange beak. We all know it.
Yeah, and what apparently started as just a fun, sort of playful experiment, it quickly became his thing, his signature. He clearly tapped into that universal nostalgia everyone has for that object, and by applying really high-level glass techniques to this childhood icon, he managed to, as the sources say, flip nostalgia into luxury. The consistency of using that one motif made him instantly recognizable.
But wait, isn't a ducky inherently simple? If Ryno's skill is so advanced, why stick with such a basic form? Doesn't that, limit the artistry?
That's precisely the genius of it, though. The simplicity of the shape is actually deceptive. The ducky became the perfect canvas to showcase extreme precision. Think about it, because we all know exactly what a rubber ducky should look like. Any tiny flaw, a slightly off beak, a head that's not quite symmetrical, it jumps right out at you. So to make hundreds of these, all with that flawless symmetry, that demands a level of control most artists only use for really complex, abstract stuff. So the ducky itself became a symbol of rebellion, against art world pretension, and of precision, that unwavering technical perfection, even with a fun subject.
Okay, that makes sense. That focus on contrast, simple form, hidden technical brilliance. That leads us right into his artistic style, this idea of duality.
Yeah, Ryno's work really embodies that concept. Simple silhouettes hiding elite craftsmanship. You glance at a piece, you see the duck, but then you look closer, and layers of complexity just start to reveal themselves. He kind of forces you, the viewer, to reconcile this familiar, almost comforting object with the sheer intensity of how it's made.
Can we dig into the technical side a bit more? What are the specific things we see that tell us, okay, this isn't just some novelty duck?
Well, look at his color work, for one. He uses these really bold, saturated color palettes, often high-end specialty glass rods, like from North Star. Those colors need incredibly careful flame work. Too hot, they bubble. Too cool, they don't flow right. It's meticulous. But the real magic, I think, is in the geometry. Molten borosilicate glass, it naturally wants to stretch, to sag, to warp. So achieving that perfectly round head or attaching the orange beak smoothly onto the yellow body curve again and again with no visible seam or distortion, that's flawless symmetry in action. And beyond just the form, he constantly plays with narrative duality too. His pieces often aren't just ducks. They bring in themes like light versus dark, good versus evil, or even organic versus mechanical. Like he might combine the soft, playful duck shape with hyper-detailed, almost rigid elements, robot parts, or like pieces of armor.
Wow, okay, so he's injecting this narrative depth into something we automatically think of as simple. The sources mention that every duck feels alive. How does he pull that off, making inanimate glass feel vital?
It's down to that meticulous detail again. It's in how he does the eyes, for instance, giving them depth and character, not just a flat black dot. Or maybe subtle shifts in the yellow body color, making it look like light is hitting it, suggesting movement. It really proves that idea that joy and skill can share the same flame. He uses that technical mastery not just to impress visually, but to evoke an emotional, almost animated response.
Right, and connecting this back to his career trajectory, Ryno's success wasn't just him alone in a studio. He was deeply tied into building community, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. His rise was powerfully fueled by what the glass world calls collab and community. The functional glass scene, especially the high-end part, really thrives on artists bringing their specialized skills together. And it's not just about sharing workshop space. It's about sharing advanced techniques, pushing each other's ideas, conceptually.
Okay, let's clarify a term here for listeners. We've mentioned functional glass, but now Heady glass folklore. What does Heady glass really signify in this world?
That's a great point. So if functional glass is the broad category for useful objects, think of Heady glass as the top tier, the haute couture maybe. It refers to those super complex, often abstract or highly sculptural, one-off or very limited edition pieces. The function might still be there, but it's secondary to the artistry, the skill, the wild creativity. These are the pieces that fetch serious money and become instant collector's items, Ryno's collabs. They often fall squarely into that Heady realm.
And he teamed up with some really big names in that scene. Who were some of the key collaborators that helped cement his status?
Oh yeah, he worked with foundational artists. People like Darby Holm, who's renowned for intricate sculptural work. Elbo Glass, famous for his dinosaur motifs. Joep Glass, too. These collaborations become legendary because they're like a fusion of signature styles. Imagine Elbo's distinct dino heads merging with Ryno's classic duck body. The result, these incredible dino ducks.
I love that. It's like world building, but through glass collaboration. The sources talk about these specific hybrid pieces becoming instant Heady glass folklore, things like cactus ducks or ducks with honey drip effects.
And that collaborative energy directly feeds the collector scene. These drops, when new pieces are released, they are not casual affairs. Collectors all over the world fiercely chase each drop, especially when it's a unique collab, like mixing Ryno's smooth duck aesthetic with, say, another artist's heavily textured organic style. The rarity, the story behind it, the value just skyrockets. We've seen some of these pieces command really staggering prices on the secondary market. It shows Ryno truly succeeded in turning that nostalgic charm into a genuine luxury asset.
So you have this groundswell, this technical mastery, this community building, and it all eventually culminates in that ultimate validation, institutional respect, moving Ryno from that counterculture box into the established art world.
Yes, and this is maybe the most crucial step, not just for Ryno, but for the entire functional glass movement. In 2022, Ryno achieved major museum recognition. He accepted a guest artist residency at the Corning Museum of Glass, which is, the authority.
Wow, Corning?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's one of the world's top institutions for glass art and history. Getting invited there, that's a massive stamp of approval. It confirms the art form deserves serious academic attention.
And he worked with others during that residency, too.
He did. He collaborated with Dan Coyle and Hoobs while he was there, and their joint project resulted in something pretty groundbreaking. A large-scale mech-style sculpture.
Okay, what does mech style mean in glass? Like robotic?
Pretty much. Think highly technical, complex, almost robotic looking, built entirely from glass components, requiring absolute geometric precision. It's incredibly difficult stuff. And this resulting piece, it deliberately blurred that line, the line between what museums traditionally call functional art and what they label fine art. It really cemented Ryno's name among that very small group of torch artists who've gained that kind of museum standing.
That's such a powerful arc, from struggling with the basics in a San Diego studio to having work studied and shown at Corning. So what's the bigger takeaway here for the art world, for sculpture, for glass?
I think it means Ryno played a key role in dismantling that old hierarchy, the one that placed pop culture references way below high craft. He offered undeniable proof that you can blend fun, accessible imagery with absolute precision glasswork, and the result is valid high art. His legacy really is showing that the label you stick on a piece, functional, decorative, whatever, it doesn't dictate the skill level or the artistic merit. He proved pretty definitively that playful doesn't mean primitive.
Yeah. And Rhino's still going, still expanding that Ducky universe and the whole movement he sparked, his career path, from those self-taught beginnings to international showcases. It's just a masterclass in having a singular artistic vision and sticking to it.
And that focus, that's what collectors are responding to. They aren't just buying a pretty glass duck. They're acquiring a piece of that artistic rebellion, that story of mastery. They're chasing the narrative that's sealed inside that perfect, bright yellow shape, a narrative about elevating a whole medium, challenging the norms of art.
It really is amazing. One torch, one toy, and just boundless imagination.
Yep.
Rewriting the rules of glass. So for you listening, here's something to chew on. If Ryan O'Keefe can take a simple, common object like a rubber ducky, something nostalgic for almost everyone, and through sheer obsessive craft, turn it into this symbol of luxury, of high art, what other overlooked ordinary things in your own life are just kind of sitting there, waiting for an artist's vision to elevate them, to give them a whole new context?